All right, I got stage one done. Okay, all the parts are done. You can see empty. I got stage two coming up. I did find my cloth. Now, one of the things about this is that one LED wants to come out, and I'm not going to worry about it just yet. Second, the lifeboat escape hatches. They're keyed to only go in one way. It took me a while to figure out how they're keyed to go in. And one of the problems with them, you can see it right there, nib marks. I have a nib mark right there. So anyone who critically inspects this, looking for flaws, is going to find them. They are going to be there. Unless I were to sand that and then repaint it, I don't know if I could get rid of the nib marks. I'm using my God hands. I'm nipping very close on them. You can see most of them came out okay. Most of them did come out okay, but that one didn't. And when you got a good close-up on this, you can see the paint job is nice. One thing that came to mind while I was working on it, should I have painted this, given it a good clear coat? And the more I think about it, the more I think not, because the subtlety without a test piece could be lost with a good clear coat on it. I'd have to be careful, and I'd have to have a test piece, which I don't have. I don't know what paints they used to paint this with. It's pretty obvious to me that they didn't put a sealer coat on it. It doesn't feel like they did. So just be careful when you handle it. The next problem is storing this until the next part comes up. And it's going to get wrapped up in this until it's used. It's getting wrapped up in this green cloth and set aside until that point in time. And I got to find a place to store it free from little tiny hands, namely a 6-year-old who will come exploring. She comes exploring in this room all the time and takes things out of the room without telling me. And I find them in her room, I find them in her hands, and she's walking around with them. She's not walking around with any of the model kits I've built, fortunately. So everything that's been sitting on the countertop here is safe. She gets into the tools and the paints and the pens. That's the problem. I do have leftover screws, which I'm going to have to do something with. I'll get an envelope and put them in. Now, again, I'm starting on stage 2 assembly, which is the warp nacelle. Okay? There's no lighting with this as of yet. I don't know what stage comes with the lights. I've seen people looking at their builds, seeing it lit up, and it looks like there's a line of LEDs running around the outside of this engine, and you can see the individual LEDs through the through the plastic. So when I get mine, I'm going to have to try to figure out how to fix that, and I'm going to have to figure out how to power this thing at that point. I'm not going to worry about figuring out how to power things just yet. I'm not there right now. Well, I'm going to put this together. So what you guys are getting are 3 or 4 different videos on the 2 stages. So you don't have me sitting here talking to you for long periods of time and boring watching screws go in and out. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it together and talk about problems I had and what I saw. For example, I'm going to get a cloth and wrap this in a cloth and set this on a nice cloth so it doesn't get scratched up. Let's pull this out and take a look. And it came with the back torn up like this. I hope my 6-year-old isn't that mean. I don't think she is anyhow. I don't want these parts scratched up, so I pulled the whole thing apart upside down, which is not how this should have been done. Okay, I should have done it correctly. Again, this is metal. Let's take a look at the markings on it and get the light where we can see the light is reflecting. And you can see it's got nice Aztecing on it. And this is obviously a decal. That's not paint. You can see they did a nice Aztecing job, and it looks like a very faint and very well done Aztecing. That is painted or a sticker or a decal. So these yellow spots are not going to light up, and I'll have to go watch them next generation and see if they do light up. Being metal and being on the back where there's screw holes, good luck on that. If these are supposed to be lit, it's going to be really hard to drill into that, to cut that out. Yeah, this is not thin metal. It's going to be really hard to drill into that to cut that out to get those to light. So those probably aren't going to light any All right, so let me get putting this together so we can see how it goes together. Here's the intercooler framework, which obviously is going to sit in here. We don't have the bottom half of the nacelle, and that's something I am afraid of, is on the bottom half of the nacelle, there's no way to get wires down into the main body of the ship. We will see when it comes. And that's another problem with this. I debated on letting it sit until all the parts are here. If I were to do that, I can already tell right now, I will spend months putting this thing together. Then I'll have to put it together in certain orders to see how things work to me. Oh, wow, I've been a bad boy. You guys couldn't see any of this I was talking about. There we go. Now you can see the Aztecing on there, the decal, and the yellow right here. You get a nice view of my belly, which is a little fat, and I got to fix that. Health-wise, I'm doing pretty good. All my blood markers are where they should be. I am type 2 diabetic, but my A1C is, probably saying that wrong, was at 6. So it's well controlled, and I don't have any issues there. My blood sugar does get a little high at times, but overall it's at 6, which I know is outstanding. Okay? And I'm not having any issues along those lines. All right, so let me get on to this, and I'll come back in a little bit with another video update to show you what I've done and talk about any issues I've had with it. And here's another part that is metal, and again, you can see the paint on there, and I'm not sure how they've painted this, if they've sealed it or anything, and I don't want to find out the hard way. I don't want to find out with putting a lacquer coat down on it, I kill it, or I obscure it, or I bleed it through or something. And I say lacquer because I'm very fond of Alclad's clear lacquers, although I probably could test paint underside right here like I did my scratches and see what's going on. This thing is going to be so heavy when it's built. That's another thing about it. It's going to be real heavy when it gets built because all the metal in it. I mean, this thing is metal. I'm not going to ding it together. Yeah, it's metal. So this is going to be interesting. All right, let me get working on this, and again, I'll come back in a little bit and tell you if I have issues, any problems, any parts that didn't go together well. The other part had some confusion, and you had to be careful at times with it. Just go back and read the directions. You eventually cleared itself up, and I didn't find problems with it if I went back and reread things. Okay? Which is good. So what I had to do is go back and reread things. Comes with 3 packs of screws and this little tiny blue thing, which I'm pretty sure is a navigation light or something. And we'll see how accurate they are with the lighting on this in a little bit, because I'm going to go watch some Next Generation to find out. I don't remember the ship having all these active blinking lights everywhere. I remember this one being one of the dullest ships. All right, I'm going to get going on it. I'll be